So Penguin Z0 made a video about the Squire program, and on this video he calls it "The Father and Son Alpha Male Boot Camp is Cringe." And that is a pretty catchy title. It's a great clickbaity title, but I wanted to take a minute and break down this video. I got to tell you, this guy's channel to me is entertaining. I've watched several of his videos. Most recent one, his breakdown of the Superman movie drama that's taking place right now as you're watching this. But he made this video of the Squire program a couple of days ago, and the video has a lot of lies, has a lot of things taken out of context, and I want to make this very clear. So without any further ado, let's watch what he says.
Well, I just learned that there's something similar for fathers and sons called the Squire Program. It's a $2,000 day where you spend $2,000 to go with your son to throw sand in each other's faces and take an ice bath. And it's supposed to turn your son into a man and strengthen the bond between father and son.
So first of all, let me already break that down. He says the Squire program is basically this one-day experience where fathers and sons come to this place and you throw sand in each other's face. What he's implying and really taken out of context, and he's done the editing of the videos that we've put out. He's edited those well, just good enough where it might seem that way. But one of our Squire instructors is a Navy SEAL. And if you know anything about Navy SEALs, when they go through training, specifically BUDS training, one of the things they do is called making themselves into a sugar cookie. And that is where they're on the beach and they run into the water and then they run back onto the sand and they sit down and they douse themselves with sand. They just throw sand all over themselves, and that makes them very uncomfortable. As you can imagine, if you got all the salt water on you and you have all the sand on you and it's getting into all the crevices, then you're having to exercise and do burpees and hikes and runs and push-ups and pull-ups and back in the ocean and back out again and make another sugar cookie of yourself with all the sand. Now, since one of our lead instructors as a Navy SEAL, he felt that it would be really cool and fun to create that experience for them. And the fathers and the sons actually report they love that experience. It's bonding, it's challenging, it's a fun experience. It's something you're probably not going to do anywhere else. It's not just randomly throwing sand on themselves and charging people $2,000. Let's keep watching. We have a second chance at a father and son relationship, and this time is when we are the fathers.
In their own sizzler reel here for the Squire program, they drop that little nugget. No matter what your experience was, you get a second chance, except we're the fathers. You're my new dad? Like, what? What do you mean?
No, bro. I love his dry sense of humor. I love his dry sense of humor. Look, man, again, taking things out of context. So many years ago, when I was a young man, I would listen to the Dr. Laura's show. Dr. Laura Schlesinger. She's a great author. She's a psychologist. She had a show on the radio station. And one day a caller called and said, "Hey, this guy," he said, "my wife is pregnant. It's going to be our first child. It's a boy. My relationship with my dad was not the best. My dad was absent. He was angry, and I don't know how I'm going to raise my son. I'm just afraid that I might be just like my dad." And Dr. Laura stopped him and said, "Hey, you know what? We have two opportunities at a father and son relationship. Once when you're the son, and once again when you're the father." And she said, everything that went wrong with your experience as the son with your father, you can do things right this second time around. And she said, not only will you do a better job raising your son because of that, but you also have a sense of healing and fulfillment because you will be able to live vicariously through your son as he gets to experience what you should have experienced with your father. And I thought that was such a powerful thing because for those of you who don't know my story, I'm an immigrant to this country. I'm grateful for my mom and dad for bringing us to this country, but my dad was a Communist Party member. He was a very angry dude, and he used a lot of physical violence, backhanding me, slapping me around to discipline me. And I quite honestly never felt like I had the most deepest, meaningful relationship with my dad, though I'm massively grateful for him and love him. But when I heard that from Dr. Laura, I was like, man, I could have a second chance at a father and son relationship as well when I become the father. And when my son Andrew was born, who's now 19 and just an awesome human being and a great young man, I had that opportunity and I took advantage of that opportunity and I poured into my son and I taught him all the things that I wish I knew. And I remember thinking, like, this is very healing for me as well. So not once do we ever say at the Squire program, hey, dads, bring your sons here, come and experience this rite of passage for your sons with him. And oh, by the way, we're going to be the fathers during this entire day. The father leads his son through the Squire program. We instructors, the Marine, the Navy SEAL, me, the civilian, the MMA guy, we're just facilitating the Squire program. We're facilitating the Squire program as a rite of passage. So never once do we say or imply that we're the fathers and that these dads have now got to surrender their fatherhood to us as we father their kids. He's taken this way out of context and way out of line. But again, I get it. He needs clicks and he's got to get people to rage out, to leave comments.
This was supposed to be a father and son experience, but now you're the dad.
I'm not the dad.
You've now taken the role of the papa. Can you imagine being this much of a loser? Where you're like, man, my son doesn't respect me. I'm kind of a goofball myself. I'll pay $2,000 so these guys can go spit in my face, only to show up and they're like, no, I'm the dad now. Get away. This is now my son.
Like I said, that's not what happened. And by the way, the dads who bring their sons to the Squire program, they're not losers at all, man. These are really great dudes. These are dads who have been fully involved with their sons their entire life. And, you know, one thing I talk about on my podcast is a book that has been so impactful for me 20 years ago when my son was born, well, when my wife was pregnant with my son. And I got this book from a family friend. It's called Raising a Modern Day Knight by Robert Lewis. Great book. And the book really talks about how young girls have a physical experience that tells them that, hey, you're going from a girl to a woman, right? They have their menstrual cycle. Historically, young boys have never had anything physical take place that says you're no longer a boy, you're now a young man entering manhood. And so it is our jobs as fathers to provide the positive masculine energy, to teach our sons how to be confident, competent, capable, courageous, to really teach them how to protect and provide and how to be compassionate servants and also to be savages at the same time when appropriate in life, right? And so when he says this, that these fathers are losers, these fathers are entrepreneurs. Some of them are former military. Many of them have great athletic backgrounds and they've been pouring into their sons. And they're doing exactly what Robert Lewis says in his book, Raising a Modern Day Knight. They're bringing them to a rite of passage experience. That's what the Squire program is. It's an experience to take these young men all day long through hardships and difficulties and decision making. And then at the end, the fathers hug the sons and say, hey, son, congratulations. This was your rite of passage into manhood. And I will continue to forge you into a competent, capable man who will be an asset to humanity and not a liability, right? Now, could they do a rite of passage experience like Robert Lewis talks about in his book for their sons at home in their backyard? Absolutely.
Look at this trailer. It's like a new Marvel movie they're announcing here. Because I can promise you that money's not going into the actual retreat because you pay $2,000 only to jog around a parking lot, crawl around in some dirt, take an ice bath, and learn basic headlocks.
He says, I can tell you that the $2,000 is not going to the event itself. It's going to the production of the sizzle reel video that they make, because he says you pay $2,000 to run around in a parking lot, to throw dirt on each other, to crawl through dirt and get people in a basic headlock. Well, actually, no, we have jujitsu black belts that come and train jujitsu, like all of my instructors. And we have, by the way, the Squire program, we run it in 6 different states. And in all those states, we never run them in the back of a Lowe's or a Walmart parking lot. Like he says, we're not just having them crawl through dirt. Are we having them crawl through dirt? Absolutely. But we have a black belt that shows up and teaches them jujitsu. We literally have former military guys, special operations guys as instructors. I'm teaching entrepreneurship, both to the fathers and to the sons, because that is my zone of genius. I'm a civilian. I've never been into the military, but I do know the value of pouring into these kids. And one could say, well, look, because he says this, he goes, hey, by the way, you don't have to go to an event like this where you pay all this money. Well, one could argue that I like Dr. Dre's music. I like Ice Cube music, right? I can listen to it on Spotify, but if Cube is having a concert, if Dre's having a concert, I may want to go to it and just have a different experience. I'm willing to pay more to do that. Let's keep watching.
Come on. If I only had a nickel for every time in my adult life being a man I've had to take an ice bath with Pops. Jeez, right? Man, there's nothing I wouldn't be able to afford. This is stupid. This is not taking you through trials and tribulations of what it means to be a man. This is just them doing like cosplay, basically, where this is what a man needs to be. and it's literally jumping jacks in dirt and then taking an ice bath. You can do that for free if you want to.
It's not just jumping jacks in dirt and taking an ice bath. And by the way, both the jumping jacks in dirt and taking the ice bath and the truck pull and then the push-up contest and then the obstacle courses that we put them through, the beach that they go through, the teamwork that they have to have, the buddy carries that they do, all these things that they do. By the way, there's a lot of desk time where they learn and take notes. All these things that they do are designed to become a metaphor for life. Think about how many challenges, adversities, difficulties you go through in life. It sounds like maybe Charlie here has he's fit. I saw his Instagram. He's fit and he's athletic. Seems like he plays music. I play the drums. My son plays the guitar and piano. I feel like I have a lot in common with this guy in terms of like, if I saw him in person, I feel like he's someone I can jive with. And I don't know, maybe he does do jujitsu. He talked about jujitsu. And if he does, then he understands that some of the lessons that you learn on the mats in jujitsu that he just talked about are lessons that you could apply to life. Like you find yourself in certain submissions or in certain positions that create this fight or flight response that make you want to tap and give up. But you also know that, hey, wait a minute, if I can calm my energy right now, if I could breathe for a minute, if I could just think clearly, I might be able to find a sweep or find an opportunity to get out of this position or submission. So let's keep watching this.
Just a one-time thing. Instead of spending one day doing something like challenging.
Wrong. This is not a one-time thing. Again, he's making so many assumptions that these dads have just allowed these kids to grow up feral, have never poured into the lives of these kids. And now all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, my kid's 13, 14, 15 years old. I better bring him to the Squire program to show him that I'm a good dad and to show him that he can become a man. No, these are dads that have been investing in their sons, pouring in their sons for years. And this is just one more thing they're doing for their sons as they usher them into manhood. So no, my friend, it is not a one-time thing.
Their pitch on this program is so cringe too. How will your son know when he's a man? For most boys, there's no defining moment or experience that tells him he's become a man. In fact, most boys today grow up and never truly feel like a man. That's another thing. On their website, there are so many grammatical errors. I guess becoming a man also means becoming illiterate.
All right. Look, as he's reading through the Squire site, he's absolutely right. Charlie, thank you so much. The grammatical errors, the typos that you found, I appreciate. We massively screwed up. I apologize for that, and we fixed it. If by chance you want to go through one more time and see if we missed anything, I would massively appreciate it. But thank you. How that got past me, I have no idea, but it did, and I apologize, Charlie. But you're absolutely right. You're very correct on this one piece of the Squire program, and you helped us find it and fix it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Really know what it takes to me, a man, into proofreading is beta shit or something, so they don't indulge it.
Proofreading is beta shit.
Also the reason why so many men today are lost, confused, anxious, lonely, and without purpose. That's why for centuries, tribes and nations have had a rite of passage ritual for their boys as they come of age to become a man. It was the father and the men he trusted who took that boy through an experience which taught him, tested him, challenged him, and showed him what it takes to be a formidable man. The type of man who can lead, love, protect, provide, and be both savage and a servant.
Now, I don't see anything wrong with any of that. Maybe Charlie does. I frankly, again, don't see anything wrong with a dad teaching his son to be a savage servant, a protector, a provider, someone who's confident and courageous and capable and competent so that he will be an asset to humanity, to his future family, to wherever he works or if he starts a business versus being a liability like so many people are these days.
Now you're going to take a right side step.
How much?
Just like you did the left side step, do a right side step. Yeah. And one more. Good. And a little 6-inch right step forward.
Masculinity is walking blindfolded behind a Lowe's trying to avoid barbed wire and planks of wood with nails sticking out, while your dad tries to guide you around it.
All right. So listen, when our instructors are loud and angry and putting on a show, we are increasing the stress by yelling at the kids, by being mean, by being loud, by being aggressive, all while this young man is being taught by the father to stay cool and calm under chaos.
That is absolutely just a recipe for disaster, by the way, because if the kid misheard a direction there and just steps on the nail, it's going right through his shoe and through his fucking foot. Well, potentially, I'm sure they would go in and move the kid out of the way, but that is still just so stupid. It doesn't even teach you anything. Like, what is even the lesson there? How is that masculinity at all? Listening to your dad, I guess? But is that the best way of teaching it? Like, here, put this blindfold on.
Yeah, Charlie, you know what? I think it is the best way of teaching it. And if you have kids or when you have kids, you might teach your kids differently where that lesson is concerned in life, right? But I think it is a great way of teaching it. It resonated with me when I read Robert Lewis's book, Raising a Modern Day Knight, when I read John Eldridge's books, Joseph Campbell's books. I like to read a lot. I like to read about how in history we have raised our kids and how things are different today, because I think we could all agree that there was a time where we felt our kids weren't as depressed and anxious and lonely and afraid and lost and confused. And so clearly we may have been doing something right. And so if we could take what we learned from history that's positive and apply it to our world today, that's great. So let's continue on and see what Charlie has to say about the Squire program.
Hold on, we're going to walk through some landmines. I'll try and keep you alive. It's just the dumbest way where literally behind whatever business this is. You paid $2,000 for that. If you really wanted to walk this obstacle course, you could have set it up in your backyard for $5 with items you could find at Home Depot.
First off, Charlie, the business is not behind a Home Depot or a Lowe's that you keep saying. These experiences happen at my ranch, at my gym, and at these designated properties that we have where we have all these equipments available to us. Obviously, we're not going to set up an obstacle course like this inside of a gym. We are not going to do it indoors. We're going to do it outdoors. And so yes, there's a road and yes, there's buildings, and it's easy enough to get attention and for views for you to say that it's in the back of a Lowe's, but it's not. And I know you know that, but for the clarity for your audience and for the audience watching, I think it's important to say that. And in terms of, can you set it up for $5 in your own backyard? No, it'll probably cost you a little more, but you could also probably do it for free with things you have in the garage. But again, some people say, I want to do this as a experiential event because I want this journey with my son that's going to take me 2 or 3 days to go there and come back home. The son and I get to go on a flight. We stay in a hotel. We get to go through this experience together as father and son. And then I get to take him through this rite of passage and I get to guide him along, and he gets a certificate, and the father's name is on the certificate because the father is leading his son versus us who just facilitate as instructors, my friend.
Another part of their website has a section about how moms turn babies into boys and dads who turn boys into men. What an incredible section this is. Ugh, moms are bitches, am I right? As fathers, it's our responsibility to guide, mentor, and prepare our sons to take their rightful seat as future leaders. And servants also. You mentioned servants a minute ago. It's up to us to help make them confident, capable, and courageous. Every young man needs a defining experience that ushers him into manhood, and they look up to you, their dads, to teach them the ways of men and to create that rite of passage. That's exactly why the Squire Program was created. Historically, knights had squires to help them prepare their armor, horse, and weapons for war, and the squires had the knights as examples of healthy masculinity, teaching them how to be chivalrous, warriors, protectors, providers, and servant leaders. Your son deserves to be confident and successful, a man of service and compassion, a purpose-driven leader, not like that baby boy your mom is trying to raise him to be. Your wife, she is a harlot that is setting your son up for failure, which is why you need to go behind her back, give us $2,000 so we can send them through the Squire program for $15.
All right, Charlie, I think you went off the rails there, buddy. He was reading that website just fine. And I do believe that moms turn babies into boys. It is a mom's job to nurture the boys and girls and just keep them healthy and fed and clean and all those things. And I was very active with my kids when they were babies as well. But moms do more of the nurturing, and they do a great job turning these babies into boys and girls. But at some point, moms do a great job turning those girls into women, but moms don't do so well where it comes turning the boys into men. And that is where a dad's duty shines. It is our jobs as dads to turn our boys into men. And Charlie, you did a great job reading that website until you just started to kind of imply that the rest of the stuff that you said where, moms are useless and unneeded. Charlie, I never said that. You said that. That's not on the website. I've never said that. And you're acting like it's part of the website copy, and it's not. I know that's not what you meant, but again, you're goal here is to stir up people's emotions as they're watching your videos so that you can get the views, you can get the comments, and I totally respect that. You're not a journalist, you're a content creator. And as a content creator, you're creating content that needs the views so that you can make your hundreds of thousands of dollars each month through the ad views and sponsorships. And I got no issues with that because I'm an entrepreneur. I make money nowhere near the money you do from the views that I get from my videos, but I make money with my businesses. And so I could respect that. We all make money and we all make money in a certain way. I am not a big believer in rage baiting my audience and clickbaiting them into anger and getting them to comment and like and do all these things that kind of trigger the algorithms to make me more money. I'd rather just kind of share the facts like I am now. I know the pressure that he must be under. I could only imagine the pressure that he must be under when he has to put out a video or two per day. Sometimes I see him put out 2 videos. I watch some of his videos and I think they're very entertaining. He's, where he smashed Liver King. I think Liver King is an absolute joke. And I think he did a fantastic job smashing Liver King and exposing him, as did Joe Rogan. But all this to say that I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts on this particular video that Charlie put out on the Squire program. Charlie, this is an open invitation for you to come out to any of the Squire programs that we run. I will pay for your flight. I will pay for your hotel. I will make sure that it costs you nothing to come out so that you can see it, experience it, watch it, be a fly on the wall, or jump into it and take a young man who doesn't have a dad in his life through the experience if you'd like. I think it would be life-changing for you like it has been for all the dads who take their sons through, because we also pour into the dads. You're fit, you're athletic, you would do just fine. But again, if you want to just come and watch and be a fly on the wall, so next time you're creating content on the Squire program, it would be more honest and factual. That would be great. But I also realize honest and factual doesn't get the views. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this response video, my first response video ever in the 16 years that I've been on YouTube. Thank you so much. Stay blessed. Much love. Remember this, that average is the enemy. Success is your responsibility, and change can take place in an instant if you are willing to flip the switch. Peace out.